thanks for staying with us. This is Straight Up With Me is Eve Loy. Eve Loy, you're the external vice president of the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Now you're going to have a class boycott next week.
Yeah.
You said earlier that you have to fight for the next generation. That's why you're protesting. You feel that your free speech rights, other freedoms are being eroded, right?
Yeah.
So you have to come out and fight. But you're fighting against the Hong Kong government.
Yeah.
You're fighting against the central government.
Yeah.
It's not a fight that I think you can win if you're fighting against the central government. Do you really feel it's worth it that even though you feel that some of your free speech rights are disappearing, on the whole, it is still one country, two systems? And China is respecting one country, two systems, and most of your freedoms are intact. So is it worth going to such lengths that we see protests and violence every week?
I would say, actually, we are not only looking at the effectiveness, whether it is worth it or not, but that's something we should do, I would say. We shoulder the responsibility to do, to protect what we have or protect the values that we...
Tell me this, you go to these protests, I don't know whether you've joined violent protests, but you do go to protests, I know that. What do your parents say? I mean, when you go, and you say to your parents, I'm going to go join a protest, do they say, don't go, or put on your helmet and goggles to protect yourself? What do they tell you?
Actually, they really do not want me to go, but I think they understand the rationale of the protest. Are they afraid?
Are they worried about your safety when you go?
Of course, and they will keep calling me and then asking me where am I, yeah.
And you take the calls and you tell them you're safe?
Actually, most of the time I cannot take the call, yeah.
Why is that?
Because...
but if you don't take their calls, you worry even more.
I would have a suitable time, then I will call them back, but not at
the height of the protest, when things are getting out of hand, then you just cannot
I just
call
cannot
them.
handle it.
So they don't want you to go, but they understand why you're going.
But I know that many of my friends,
yes.
Also parents of some students, often worry about that, and then just prevent their students, their children from going to that kind of area and joining the protest.
They stop them from going?
Yeah.
But your parents have never stopped you from going?
Yeah.
They tried?
They tried, but they failed.
How many students do you think will take part in this class boycott next week?
I think at least a few thousands, but it is only a very rough estimate number.
And you'll continue for 2 weeks and see what the chief executive says, right? Now, the chief executive wants to talk. She had a meeting last week with some people. She says, we want to have a dialogue platform. Anybody can come and talk to her. She's admitted she made a mistake with the extradition bill. She suspended it. She doesn't want to say withdraw, but she suspended it. And she has admitted that she has made a very, very bad decision on this that caused so much trouble that we are where we are today, right? Let's see what she has to say.
This is something that we want to do in a very sincere and humble manner. I and my principal officials are committed to listen to what the people have to tell us, and we want to reach out to the community as soon as possible.
She used the word humble. She's humble. She and her officials want to listen to what people want to say. Before she had this meeting, this dialogue with some community leaders, including university vice chancellors and so on, former government officials and so on, she approached your university among a few others, right? She approached, your university was the first place, along with a couple of other universities, that she approached the first time ever and says, come, let's talk. You refused. Why?
Because the author is in a very closed-door manner, and then the government insists without any prerequisites to hold this kind of meeting, and then refuse to invite all of the student unions leaders, but instead pick
Picked your Chinese University of Hong Kong and a couple of other, I think Baptist University.
UST.
Right. So, but you turned her down. She said, come talk. You say it was closed door, but then finally she said, well, let's open it. Let's do it openly. And no preconditions, let's talk. You still said no. Why?
Oh, actually, she insists to have a closed door manner. Yeah.
After you refused, she said, let's have an open door one as well, but you still refused.
Because
you said we got to go in there to have the 5 conditions met. Those are preconditions.
We have 2 prerequisites. One is to have an open meeting, and then another is to stop the prosecution of the protesters. Yeah.
But there are over 700 of them now. If you stop the prosecution, then you're breaking the rule of law. There is rule of law in Hong Kong, which you want to protect, right?
But actually, actually, many of the legal professionals have mentioned that according to the basic law and current statute, it is possible for the CE as well as the government to stop the prosecution manner and
grant an amnesty to
violates the
everybody.
law.
You mean an amnesty to everybody, right?
No, it is to stop the prosecution and to stop the investigation process.
Okay, so in other words, just say everybody, we will not charge you, and that's the end of the matter.
Yeah.
Is that really possible, Eve? Do you think if the government did that, wouldn't that be undermining our rule of law? Because some of them did commit pretty violent crimes.
But actually, I think that according to what the legal professionals and also professors said, it is possible for the government to do so. They have the power to do so. But actually, at the same time, if the government continue to prosecute the protesters, how can we start the dialogue with the government?
Okay, well, on that point, let's have a look at another clip. Eve, we're seeing this every weekend now.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm getting tired of looking at it. I'm sure a lot of people are as well. It doesn't do Hong Kong's image any good. You see this kind of violence. Now, you see people beating up the police beating up the people, people beating up other people, and finally you saw the police draw their guns.
Yeah.
And one of them actually opened fire. Now, when you say don't charge any of them, but some of those people actually were violent, how can you not charge them?
But actually, I would say they are forced to do so. They are not really...
Do you support that? You say they're forced to do so. Do you support that kind of violence?
I would not say I support any of the acts of the protesters, but I would say I understand why they are doing so. I understand the rationale behind. No one would like to be violent. No one is born to be violent, especially for the teenagers. They can just stay at home and then without risking their life, without risking their career.
Why don't you do that instead of going out there and facing a policeman holding a gun in your face? Would that scare you?
Yes, as I mentioned, all of the teenagers will be scared, but actually they are still doing so because they think they are something they worth to fight for, and then they are thinking these kind of values really mean to that. They think that this kind of values are more important than their life.
But people say, Eve, that you're fighting not for your freedoms, you're not fighting for a future generation, you're fighting for independence. That's what some people are saying. And foreign forces are helping people like you fight for the independence of Hong Kong. Are you fighting for independence or you're fighting for your freedoms?
I believe that there are no conflicts between the two. And then I believe that amongst all the protesters, there are certainly some of them are advocating Hong Kong independence.
That'll never happen, you know that.
while some protesters do not really agree with Hong Kong independence.
Do you agree with Hong Kong independence?
I think it is one of the way for us to have a better Hong Kong.
But do you support one country, two systems?
I don't think under the rule of the Communist Party we have the true one country, two system to be practiced. Yeah.
So you feel that there is, in fact, what you're saying is that there's no hope. The current situation of one country, two systems,
so
there's no hope.
That's why so many teenagers come out, because they cannot see any hope. They cannot find any way out other than going to the streets and then to express their voice.
But that is distressing to hear, because most of the guests, young people I've had here before, never said that they supported a separation or independence. They supported one country, two systems, but they want to preserve the freedoms that Hong Kong has, right? And they didn't say they wanted anything more than that, but now you're saying that they want something more than that?
I would say some of the protesters believe that Hong Kong independence is a way out, yeah, but not all the protesters.
But it's not a way out, because it's not going to happen. You know that.
And then I would say, if you would like to pursue the democracy in Hong Kong under the system of under the one country, two system in the current situation, I cannot see how we can really get our freedom safeguard under this kind of situation.
All right. Okay. Well, let's hope things do get better rather than getting worse. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Good evening.